Senator John Hoeven is joining us. He is on the Appropriations Committee and the Energy Committee. Senator, good to have you on the program.
Thanks, Maria. Good to be with you.
What is the viability of this new replacement to Obamacare, do you think?
I think it's a good plan. It's about empowering people rather than expanding government. And if the Supreme Court strikes down the subsidy that states are getting under the federal exchange, we're going to have another plan. And I hope there's some support both in the Congress and on the part of the administration to go to this kind of approach.
What kind of an impact have you seen so far from anticipation of Obamacare or actual implementation of Obamacare?
Your question on the front end was what, Maria?
What kind of an impact have you seen already in terms of businesses, in terms of the economy, people's lives?
Yeah, I mean, higher costs, not only for businesses, but for individuals in terms of their health care insurance. And that's why the kind of plan that we're talking about now can create more competition and help bring health care costs down and give people more choice.
What would you like to see in terms of other priorities for the budget? The president released his budget. What is your response in terms of what he's likely to do in terms of raising taxes and creating more revenue for things like education and infrastructure projects?
Well, his budget's a real problem, and I don't believe it's going to go anywhere in Congress. If you look at it, it's $2.1 trillion in higher taxes. It's $2.4 trillion in more spending. It's $8.5 trillion over 10 years in more debt for this country. And that makes it harder for entrepreneurs and small businesses to create jobs and grow the economy. And so that's not what Americans want. That's why Congress is not going to go that direction. What we're going to try to do is do things like reduce the regulatory burden, engage in tax reform that stimulates our economy and encourages job creation for our businesses across this great country.
And how does this Obamacare plan or replacement plan do that?
Well, it helps by giving more choice, more competition, reducing the regulatory burden. Again, not only helping our businesses in terms of reducing costs, giving them more options, but for individuals as well. That's the kind of thing that makes our economy go. When you make it easier to do business, then entrepreneurs, small businesses create more jobs. When you make it more expensive, you have a higher tax burden, more regulation. That's what hurts job creation.
Senator, let me move on to the Keystone Pipeline, which I know you have been pushing passage for, but I want to start with North Dakota, because North Dakota, of course, is a very big oil-producing state, producing more than 1 million barrels of oil a day, second largest oil-producing state. What has been the impact on the state of this sharp sell-off in the price of oil that we've seen in the last year?
Maria, we're starting to see some slowdown. Obviously, the price of oil now just a little over $50 a barrel. You know, actually, we're locked in a global competition to see who's going to supply energy globally. So OPEC, Russia, now the United States, you know, we're battling for market share. So we have to continue to help build our industry in this country. So far, we've seen some slowdown in our state, not too much. How much more we'll see depends on what happens with the price.
Right. I mean, is it fair to say that the rise in supply, whether it's the shale revolution in America or OPEC and non-OPEC countries, that's the reason oil prices have come down so much?
Maria, without question, one of the things I often say is OPEC didn't decide to give us a Christmas present this year. The reason gas prices are lower, dropping over the last year from something like $3.27 a gallon down to about $2.17 a gallon, is because we're producing so much more energy. And that's how it works. If we continue to grow our energy base in this country, we not only become energy secure, but we reduce the price at the pump for our consumers. The benefit they've received so far would be, if it were a tax cut, would be equal to more than $100 billion in the consumer's pocket.
Yeah, I mean, you have been talking about the importance of the Keystone XL pipeline, and yet the president continues to say he is going to veto this. So these threats continue. What are you going to do if the president vetoes this in the next couple of weeks?
You know, Maria, that's the great irony. We're producing more energy. It's strengthening our country. It's helping our allies. It's benefiting consumers and businesses, you know, throughout our economy. And now the president, on the one hand, takes credit for it, and then on the other hand, he's trying to block it. We need the infrastructure, and we have to build the business climate so we can produce more energy, not less, here in North America. And then we don't have to depend on OPEC for oil. And we're stronger as a country, and we have a stronger economy.
Yeah, I think it's also worth mentioning the fact that the oil is going to get here by hook or crook. It's only going to come on rail cars as opposed to coming through a pipeline. And we're already seeing a real capacity congestion on the tracks, right? Because oil is being transported on rail car.
You make a great point. That oil is going to move either by rail or by pipeline. If it moves by rail, that's 1,400 rail cars a day, which not only creates more congestion, more risk of accident, that kind of thing, but it also blocks our movement of other goods. The safest way to do it, the most cost-effective way to do it with the best environmental stewardship is with the proper infrastructure, the right mix of pipelines, rail, and roads.
Senator, good to have you on the program. We'll be watching the developments. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Maria.
Senator John Hoeven joining us.